YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back. We're on to the divisional round of the playoffs. Hopefully goes a little better than the wild card round. I expect it to. But we're power ranking the playoff teams, not just the remaining teams, but actually the teams that were just eliminated as well. And what we can go off for them is we can base things off how they just performed in the wild card round. The other teams, how they just performed and what the outlook is for them for perhaps a Super Bowl run. And that's how I rank these teams from 14 to 1. We'll be doing these every single week, and we have all kinds of playoff predictions, content, and more. Check it out. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. A lot of offseason coverage as well. We already got a lot up on the channel, and there's definitely more to come here. So join us for all that. Much appreciated. Important links pinned down in the comments, including our Twitter, which there's a lot going on. You guys are voting for the divisional round game. I mean, Bengals Titans pretty tight. Still 19 hours left on that. You guys get a say in our picks videos. Also have a picks league you can join. Link down below for that as well. Make sure you follow our Twitter. A lot going on there. So ranking the playoff teams 14 to 1 after the wild card week. A little bit surprised the Cardinals end the year at 14, the worst playoff team. And there was some bad performances over the wild card weekend, but I thought the Cardinals was definitely the worst. There was a handful of teams that it felt like the game was over right off the bat. Did not expect that to be the case for the Cardinals, and it felt like that. Some of those other teams that really struggled, there wasn't much that went right, but maybe there was some little thing that went right for them. The Cardinals, I could not find that. It's just right off the bat was a little surprising. Like Cardinals getting the ball, they're going to run tempo. It's going to be so hard for a defense to stop this. They go 3 and out, so right from the start, and the Rams are effective right off the bat as well, running the ball even. It just right from the start, it looked pretty bad. They couldn't get anything going in the passing game. Kyler Murray was panicking, thinking too much. Offensive line couldn't protect. Receivers couldn't get open. A.J. Green had a shot at a big catch at one point, couldn't hang on. Defensively, they couldn't stop the run. They couldn't make tackles. They couldn't cover. Like, there was nothing that went right for this team. Just didn't really feel like a playoff team. A little disappointed that I kind of started to believe in them a little bit because I think my preseason evaluation on them ended up being pretty accurate. They ended up starting strong, which got them in the playoffs. But, I think where I had them predicted preseason, that's how they ended up on the field. They're still, Kyler Murray still got a ways to go. He's got to stay consistent to be that, he's a good quarterback, but take that next step. They're thin in the trenches. It didn't show early, but they're thin in the trenches, offensive line and defensive line. J.J. Watt, a good player, but questionable signing because he's always hurt, and he's going to take up a lot of cap even next year. They need to get better at corner as well. It's just obvious on paper when evaluating this team in the year. So really, now that we look at it, it really should not be a surprise. The team just wasn't ready yet, but we thought the key players would be able to execute a lot better than what they did in this game. They did not. So other teams were disappointing. To me, the Cardinals were the worst playoff team based on their performance. Maybe other teams played better or weaker opponents, maybe, but this is what presented itself on the field. 13 is going to be the Eagles, and the Eagles, another one, it felt like the game was over right off the bat, But I did like, when the game was over, but the one thing that kind of got going, the one positive thing that I could not find for the Cardinals, one positive thing for the Eagles was, once they figured out we just got to scheme things directly to our young playmakers, Devontae Smith, Kenneth Gainwell, and we can gain. We can make some big plays, and let's not, force the obvious runs, the obvious read options, and try to have Hurts force the ball downfield because he's not that great at that for a playoff atmosphere. Let's just screen pass to Devontae Smith, slant to Devontae Smith, get the ball in short game to get Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott. And then they kind of look pretty decent. So maybe not the best game plan from Sirianni, not that the right game plan, but they were just outmatched against the Buccaneers. Defense was good at the end of the year, but we knew it wasn't really that good. It was still impressive, again, down the stretch of the year, promising, but yeah, going against the Bucs. Just not much in the passing game there, but they got some young players that maybe are pretty bright for the future there. 12 is the Patriots. Yeah, not much going for them as well. I mean, you expected the Bills to score off the first possession, with the talent and speed that they have. So that really wasn't a problem, but it kind of felt like, wow, Patriots get the ball. They're able to move down the field, actually. Mac Jones making some good plays. They're actually able to move down the field. Bad drop by Bolden. And then even I thought it was a good ball, just a ridiculous play by Micah Hyde on the interception. Just really turned things around. So there was a tiny window of some maybe promising things. We thought maybe if they were to lose, Mac Jones would struggle, but I thought he had to kind of try to pick up the slack a little bit. But a very disappointing outing, mainly from a Bill Belichick defense. And you start to realize, maybe this team needs some more help than we originally thought, or maybe they are what we originally thought, because they need some more linebacker help to stop the run. The D-line heading in the right direction with a guy like Barmore, but everything else, some veteran guys got to get better there. Need another corner in there, Some guys aging like Hightower, like I said, linebacker, so you start to realize things a little more. It's surprising, the Steelers did not have a good outing, but it's surprising that they're not last. Everyone was convinced this was the worst team in the playoffs. They play the Chiefs, and out of the blowout, out of the ass-beating games, which the Steelers were a part of that, there was quite a few of them, they actually were the only ones that didn't get torched right off the bat. And in the other games, it was like, it looks like the game's over. Anybody else that watched them felt like the game was over right off the bat. Steelers, that didn't apply for the Steelers game. They were playing some tough defense, giving some problems for the Chiefs early on. They started a little slow. They even took the lead, got a touchdown on defense, and then the Chiefs started going on a tear. But I think the Chiefs underestimated the Steelers coming out like, hey, maybe we don't have to show everything for the next game. And the Steelers weren't messing around early on, so I respect that. They were outmatched. Chiefs are just a better team. They're a lot faster. That's the main thing. It was obvious. But you got to respect the Steelers for that, and I did not think they were the worst team in the playoffs based on their performance. And that's really the only thing we can go on for these types of teams, because they had one game and now they're done, so we can't look at how they match up with the rest of the field. It doesn't apply. We can apply that to the team still going on when ranking them. So Raiders will be next. They put up somewhat of a fight. It did feel like the Bengals outplayed them more than, the Raiders had a shot at the end. I really don't think, based on how the two teams played, that the Raiders should have had a shot, but they had a shot, and they played all right. Josh Jacobs was running the ball pretty effectively. I wish they would have ran the ball more, actually. I think a little bit, not the end of the world, but a little bit of panic where they were, hey, we're getting outplayed, we're down, let's throw the ball, 1, 2, 3, 3 and out, or 6 and out, all passes. So I don't really agree with that. Having Carr throw the ball 56 times, not ideal, especially when you're sort of in the game. They had to come from behind, but there were some good moments for them. Red zone defense surprisingly was pretty solid, so they'll finish number 10. And the Cowboys will be number 9. Cowboys were extremely sloppy in this game. Didn't feel like really their normal selves. I guess normal big game selves for the Cowboys. They've had that label, and I guess they continue with it. I kind of hate when things stay the same here, but they're going to stay the same in this case. But they, 49ers came out, punched them in the mouth, and were more physical in them, controlling the clock. Cowboys were shooting themselves in the foot. They were sloppy. They weren't playing that good. But the Cowboys still were in the game in the end. They played a lot better in the second half, and that's because the Cowboys got talent. Talent-wise, they're supposed to be better than the 49ers. They had a better season than them. They're supposed to be better than the 49ers, and that's why they're able to stick in there, even though it was very sloppy. But, again, it was a sloppy performance, disappointing performance from the Cowboys, so they are number 9. And then on to the playoff teams. We're going to go 49ers 8. 8th best team, really, I want to call it, because these 8 teams are very good. Obviously, the impressive performance of the 49ers. I love their defense. Their defense has improved so much as the year went on. Very well coached. Offense, they have the ability to wear you out physical you, run the clock, score right away. I guess if we had to nitpick, which we have to do with the 8 best teams in all of football, maybe they rely on the run a little too much. They did pass pretty well, but maybe they rely on starting extremely strong on the ground, pound the ball down the field, and scoring. But a very dangerous team. I do think they match up against the Packers pretty well. I was talking about, were the other teams really going to go to Lambeau in the freezing cold? Those West Coast teams were likely, maybe. Were they really going to have to be able to do that, put up a pretty good fight? I mean, maybe. I don't know. After the Packers got a rest, I think the only team, it is a West Coast team, but the only team here, the 49ers, because how physical they are, the type of players they have, and the coaching staff they have, I think they are best suited to put up a fight in the second round against the Packers. So that could be a pretty interesting game. And I was thinking, Packers are probably overall the better team, but I was thinking that, it seemed to be a common theme that the teams that won in the first round were just better in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line. If we want to get specific, the trenches, interior on both. And you actually can argue the 49ers it's close, might be better than the Packers within the trenches there. Pretty close again. So 49ers definitely got a shot to beat the 1 seed and the team kind of known as the best in football, the Packers. So impressed with the 49ers, see what they got. They definitely can play upset. I don't really consider any of these that big of an upset, though, going forward. These are the 8 best teams. 7, I'm going to go Bengals. Very impressive. I wish they could have put the Raiders away a little earlier. They outplayed them, in my opinion, on the field by more than what the score showed, so I wish they could have went and shown that. A little beat up, and that kind of factored in as well. They're a little beat up for going forward. That's kind of the bad thing. The only bad thing of winning your first playoff game in 31 years, though. Really nothing bad about it. But again, a little beat up. Ogunjobi out for the year. Henderson, concussed within that game. Mixon limping. Weird to see them get conservative. Will that pop up again? The very good team. Joe Burrow's ridiculous. Those weapons, Jamar Chase, ridiculous. Can teams stop that? The only negative thing here, looking for the outlook for the Bengals, is the trenches. I talked about how the dominant trenches team won their playoff games, and they're the men. The teams that are a little weaker in the trenches have shown themselves being the boys right now. And then where are the Bengals at in that category? Will the offensive line in the trenches be exposed? Defensive line without, some pieces, can they be exposed? So big game against the Titans this week. It's a very dangerous team. It's a team that, it's so hard to game plan the way they spread the field out. I'm going to put them at 7, though. Next 2 are tough. It's tough putting the Rams at 6, a dominating performance against the Cardinals. And what I've been preaching for the Rams to do is pound the damn football, because you got some beast of running backs, but they just didn't. It was the matter of actually running the ball more. They went and did that against the Cardinals, and they were just way more. They were just better. They were just way better, plain and simple, and they were just way more physical, pounding the football. And then they were kind of making it look like they're going to play. Are they going to go play action now? Just in their heads, exactly what I wanted the Rams to do, and they did it. So now they can become that sneaky, dangerous team that I've been talking about. And I almost want to rank them a little more, but you kind of look at the outlook. How would they be able to do it against the Buccaneers? Will the run be the factor against the Buccaneers? Stout run defense. It's still on Stafford a little bit. Can he stay consistent? I like the way he was moving. He was escaping some pressure, so maybe some promising things there for the Rams. They just looked a lot better than the Cardinals. It's tough. And it was very close between 5 and 6, and you can argue the Chiefs at the top as well. But the difference between the Chiefs and the Rams could be the Rams might be better running the ball, like with the actual running backs now, because they showed it in one game. That's the question: is it one game? But the Chiefs, trust Mahomes. You trust the passing game maybe a little more in these moments. But how they split up defensively. The Rams are pretty technically sound on defense. The Chiefs got more of the flashy plays. The blitz obviously is pretty dangerous, but the Chiefs really take off the second half and score. It felt like when they wanted to, all right, we need to score because we're losing, and they go and score on every drive pretty much there for the Chiefs. So there are some spots, though. Can you throw on the Chiefs? Can you run on the Chiefs? Do they rely on the blitz too much? Are they one-dimensional with the pass? They're a little sneaky with the run. So there are some questions. As dangerous, as good as the Chiefs are, explosive, fast as they are, there are some questions there with them still. Cannot wait for that game against the Bills. 4 is going to be the Titans. They had a bye. I had the Packers and the Bucks ahead of them already, but our team played so well that I pushed them ahead of them. But the only question with the Titans is, are they one-dimensional? Like, sometimes it's like, this team's not one-dimensional. People think they are. They're not. And sometimes it's like, all right, they're proving those people right. They feel a little one-dimensional. But how will they be? Last year in the playoffs, the Ravens proved maybe they are one-dimensional. Take away the run. Tannehill can't do it. So that's kind of the question there. Where's Derrick Henry's health going to be? At the end of the day, they're a good team, and I like the way they're playing defense. That could be the difference of last year, too. The defense was very, very good at the end of the year. How will it be in the playoffs? So some questions with the Titans. I like how they are in the trenches. I like how they are on the interior defensive line. Again, the defense a lot better, so Titans could be a dangerous team here. It's just really on the passing game. It's really what it's on here. 3, I'm going to go Bucks. Yeah, dominant performance from the Bucks against the Eagles. Obviously, defense was fantastic. Everything about it, everything about the defense, stopping a run early, getting good pressure, dangerous with the blitz on passing downs, very tight in coverage, making plays in the back end. The safeties were all over the field. Offensively, I liked, they didn't really do anything super flashy down the field. A couple things here and there to Mike Evans, Gronk, I guess, but it was kind of just work the field and run the clock because we can do that, and that's what we want to do in this type of game. So I love that. Missing some key running backs as well. So Tom Brady and co are still as dangerous as ever here in the playoffs. I moved the Bills in the 2 spot because they were super impressive, and it's really, I talked about this in the recap, it dominating, in round one's a little piece of it. Most people look at it, they just dominated their opponent. They're great. Put them at number 2. That's a little piece of it for me. Look at it a different way. They played, I think, a tricky matchup with the Patriots. A division rival in the cold, third time around playing them. It's not going to be easy, and they dominated them. But I look at another step. I like the way what the Bills are doing. I talked about this in the recap. I'm repeating myself here. But last year, when the Bills got hot, where I was raving about the Bills, why they were so good, why we were all so high on them, is they had this just crazy playbooks, crazy system, wide variety of plays that kind of fit Josh Allen and company, their systems, and they used all of it. And it was an impossible game plan because defense is a guessing game. And then that's why we were high on them. They get to the playoffs and they kind of shrink that playbook down a little bit. They go away from the run. They kind of go away from those option type plays or getting Josh Allen outside. And everyone just game plan for the pass, and it was easy. And then most of this year, that part where they struggled maybe a little bit, it was just the playbook was just cut in half again. And maybe they saved it here because you look at the Patriots game and they brought it back. They brought it back for the right time here. So a little hype in the Bills again because of that. But it is a little tricky. You're going from playing at home at night to go to playing in Kansas City, different type of game. So that's going to be a really good game. It's the only game I still don't know who I'm picking on. In terms of talent on the team, I think the Bills are better, and that's why they're 2 and the Chiefs are 5. But that's really not 100% what it's about. Especially when it comes to this big game. The Bills are looking to get revenge. Everyone's talking about this revenge in Kansas City. Do teams get revenge? It feels like it rarely happens. It seems like the same teams are winning over and over again. So there's a lot on both sides here. But I got the Bills at 2. And there was no reason for me to move the Packers off to 1. Everyone's got them at 1 right now. Just can. Like I said, it kind of felt like you tried to go bold last week. Bold with these new teams winning. The Cowboys finally going to win. The Cardinals going to figure it out. And it's just prove it. This is the same thing. It's the same thing over and over again. The 49ers dominant in the playoffs. The Cowboys are let down in the big games. The Cardinals bad in the second half of the year. All of the same teams is back to rolling. It's just the same thing. Wins ball games as well. So that would be the question with the Packers is people are doubting them to get over that hump. And maybe it's the NFC Championship game. Maybe it's this week. And if the storylines stay the same like they have been, maybe they can't get over that hump. It feels like they're the best team. They have that passing game. They have the run game. They have the offensive line. They have the playmakers. Defensively, they're better defensively this year. They got the playmakers in the back end. They got the pass rush. They're a lot better stopping the run. And they've been the best team all year. So I think they deserve to be 1 still, especially because there's nothing to go off of. If they, played and maybe 1 barely looked a little sloppy, then maybe they wouldn't be 1. So maybe that helps them that they didn't play. But 49ers are no joke, especially matchup-wise. I think the Packers would have matched up better against a team like the Rams maybe in the second round, maybe. So it's because, going to Lambeau, the freezing cold, if there's a team, the Niners are that physical team that might be able to match up well against you here. So it should be a lot of fun there. All these games should be a lot better, at least I hope. It should be a lot better in the divisional round than the wild card round. So really excited for this week. We got all kinds of content coverage for the playoffs. We got off-season videos, bunch of them on the channel, very important ones. Definitely more to come this week as well. Links pinned in the comments for a lot of important things. Check it out. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on to join us for all that. Make sure you follow our Twitter. A lot going on there. But that wraps this one up. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.